Okay, so basically there are two questions around 2023 which we had to discuss. So this is the day 8 of previous year question. One question was asked on for 10 marks. Comment on multicultural perspective of rights. Comment on multicultural perspective of rights. So they've asked for what? 10 marks, 150 words. So two things you need to realize here, you can't write so many things because it's a 10 marker question. And second one, you have to be very precise. So what will be the structure of your answer? Here, how do you structure your answer? What you are going to write? One, of course, introduction will be something about multiculturalism. Then you have to write about what are the arguments of the multiculturalists. So you have two people you can write. One is Will Kimlicka. The other is Bhikkhu Parekh, who's written this book called as what? Rethinking Multiculturalism. So here you don't need to write all the details what they told. In a summary of to tell what is their argument. They say that rights cannot be universal. All rights should be determined based on multiple cultures, because different cultures will have different kinds of rights. So you can give for example, like what Bhikkhu Parekh he argues is that within a society you can have Muslims, you can have Christians, they can have their own set of rights. You need to recognize them. So rights cannot be seen in universal terms. That is their argument. That's it. But now in your answer you should also write what are the limitation of this particular perspective. So here you are going to write the 1 or 2 points of criticism, or even 1 point chalega because it's a 1 to 2. One of the argument what you can write is that what this Susan Molar-Okin she's written this book or essay, what you call it, is multiculturalism good for women? She says no. Why? Because when you start recognizing different cultural rights, in many cultures, women have been given subordinate position. You can give an example. For example, in African societies, there is forced genital mutilation, or you can say in traditional India, sati or triple talaq was justified. So hence she says that there are certain universal set of rights that should be accorded to all. We can't recognize all the multicultural rights. Or you have Amartya Sen, who says that if you give too much emphasis on cultural rights, then it leads to what? Ghettoization of the community in that regard. Okay, so what you can use as a conclusion now to summarize your answer, you can say, hence when we look at what Pratap Banu Mehta, he said, we can recognize rights from multiple cultures as long as these rights will, what you can say, not violate the twin principles of equality and human dignity. That is what you write, the view of Pratap Banu Mehta in your conclusion. What does Pratap Banu Mehta says? That you can recognize rights from different traditions or different cultures as long as these rights pass the twin test of equality and human dignity. So this is what I would have written in my answer for comment on multicultural perspective rights, because they are not asking what is multicultural rights, they are asking comment on it. So I wrote what is multiculturalism, I wrote what is their argument. That's why I told I won't explain here in detail what because this is a 10 marker question. Summary, simple what they say, you have to recognize rights according to different cultures and traditions, because for them rights are emerged from human consciousness or the community what they belong to. But then I am going to bring the criticism of Susan Molar-Okin and Amartya Sen, I am going to end my answer based on taking a middle path of Pratap Banu Mehta. So if you this much you do, you are more than enough. You have addressed the demand of the question. So this was one of the question that was asked in 2023. One more question they asked in 2020. The second question, what we are going to discuss, it is again a straightforward question, not so difficult. They have asked comment on Foucault's concept of power. So what I need to do in my answer, again, this is a 10 marker question, 150 words. I need to bring more clarity in the answer what I write. Okay. So what can be the introduction you can write? So here you can write about Foucault gives which perspective. So Foucault gives the postmodernist perspective of power. Then you can write about Foucault. You have to write that how he looks at power. He says all the previous mainstream theories of power, they have only looked at power from macroscopic lens. They have not analyzed power from a microscopic lens. And for Foucault, he says that what? Power is a discourse. Power flows everywhere. It is like blood flowing throughout human capillaries. Power does not have a structure. He also sees that what? Power is also can be not only seen always in negative sense, power can be also seen as a disciplinary force. How in modern societies, power operates as discipline. Educational institutions, jails, asylum centers, they also play their role in exercising what? Power in form of discipline. Or third aspect of power, he also speaks about something called as biopower or governmentality, that how government exercises power, not through brute force, but through bringing mentality of people which makes them obey the, that you can say. Then in the concluding part, what you can say, that what is Foucault's contribution, that Foucault gave a completely new dimension to power, when largely power was only seen as a sense of domination from the mainstream. He is given a completely new perspective over. But at the same time, some have criticized, saying that Foucault's or postmodernism, they are not adding anything new to the existing literature, and it is what you can say, they are not clearly explaining from where does the power come, how does the power operate. That has been not looked into. But nevertheless, Foucault remains as one of the most influential thinkers in the modern century, and his theory of power has completely given a new dimension of understanding how power operates in society. So that is what I would write in my 10 marker question, because here the challenge will be always is that how do I summarize lot of things I know into things. So that's why I told you need to have crystal clarity about your understanding. So they are telling comment on Foucault's concept of power. First I am going to write who is Foucault, then I am going to tell what was his idea of power, and I am going to tell it is postmodernist perspective of power. So why? Because he is seeing that existing theories which are there, they are all meta narratives. They hide more than they reveal, and they are only looking at power at macroscopic level. They are not looking into how power operates in day-to-day life. So this fellow's key thing is that what he looks at, power operates everywhere. Power flows like blood throughout capillaries. If king is exercising power, even the civilians are exercising power over the king. And he sees power in multiple ways. He says power, knowledge is power on one hand. He also says power is a discourse. Third, he also says that what? Power acts also as a disciplinary force. It maintains discipline in society. That's it. And write one last about one critic about his idea. Lastly, you tell that what is the significance of Foucault to the field of political science. You are done and dusted. This again you have to write in actual exam within 7 minutes. And when you will be able to do all this, if you have done multiple rounds of revisions, written lot of questions on these areas, then you can say on the exam day, your brain will work. What do you say? Dimag ki batti jalao. So it will start working. But if you have not given any, what you can say, that you have not made your mind think anything, and directly you come sit in the examination hall, and then you will say, no, like Buddha, you will get enlightened. No, you get enlightened that what? This exam is not for me. So that's what I told, unless you practice a lot, brainstorm, think a lot, get clarity about what you have read, That is when you can be able to answer these exams in 7 minutes or etc. And with this, and actually these are all both questions what they've given is pretty straightforward, direct question. Easily you can write these questions with whatever limited content you have. So we'll end this here, and again tomorrow we'll take up this will be all previous year questions only. So again the question will be posted in the evening on the Telegram group. Tomorrow it will be again discussed. So if some of you have already written, you can compare here only and see whether you have written on the right direction or not. Otherwise, try to add what we discuss here into your answer.